involved in this, and I don't know if this is any way of what you would call paying people back for some things that may have not gone so good. I don't know how we can equate that to all that he has talked about, but I'm hearing what he is saying, and I suppose if he's offended and he's looking for what you call it, reparations. If that's
There's a big move going around the Caribbean. I think 12 nations are seeking reparations from colonial powers.
Yep. And if that's what he's looking at, then maybe there is something that we can talk about. But I want to stay. I mean, if you want to quickly take a whack at it.
It's not to take a whack at it. It's just to point out that there are 12 nations in the region seeking reparations for slavery, and that has actually become a very serious movement around the Western, the so-called free Western world, where there's felt that there needs to be reparations for slavery, as there have been reparations for the Holocaust. There have been some level of reparations for the North American Indians. And, you know, Steve, I wouldn't go further than that, but to say that what I'm all about right now is making our own way.
Yeah.
And we have this country now.
We're not looking back.
We have this country. This is now our country.
Let me take this other call before we continue. Hot coffee, how are you?
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Yes, sir, Jay.
Good evening, John.
Good evening, sir.
This is Muhammad. Steve, give us a minute, please. Steve, we in the GNN, we just sit down and talk for 25, 30 years. All of a sudden, people came in our country illegally and sold our government $10 million. On our area, we tell them, get them water and food and keep them in international waters and don't bring it to the Bahamas.
You're talking about the Cuban nationals.
The one in Canada, the one in Britain. They tried it. And only us again. Bahamas is a rich country in the world. We got every country, all the Tonkin ships, all the gold, all the recognize in this country. Bahamas, after the airport before, all that government doing is taxes are there, taxes are there. But please, after Steve, I learned I'm 8 years old on Capital Beach. I'm 53 years old, Steve. My birthday was 7th of March. Then it's on the breakers. It's one of the breakers, not Capital Beach. What is coming from?
Right.
See, but my thing is, see, maybe we need to stand up and be another way of politicians no more. See, to work the politicians, they go into jail, no, Steve. Go into jail. All the land
so you keep telling me they go into jail. When is that going to happen?
My brother said, the Georgia group, every land they sold, we take all the keys, they go up to the state. We're going to the public, we're going to bring the Russians in there and get long ways with us, get the Chinese to give us a country.
You go back to the Chinese for more weaponry?
No. Now, see, I can talk so things understand. If we had some 4 or 5 nuclear weapons, you think the American and the Canadians and the British, white country, to be put us like this?
Now, I hear you, but, truly, we are no match. I mean, there was a long way to go. We have to start thinking as a country, I agree with you, but not from a point of confrontation. We've got to think of a country from a strategic plan of negotiating and making sure that we have our position made clear that this is a sovereign nation, this is how we're operating, and we want to be at peace with all of our neighbors and all of that. But we are sovereign. I mean, I understand that.
Okay. Listen to me, because I know some other guys. Because see, my daddy been on the contract.
Yeah, my daddy too.
And Florida big now. Quite a big. The Americans and the Canadians and the British and the French and the Germans, they started going away. They got the whole village destroyed. You know why they do that? They ain't got to work in the country. Now, when they destroy the country, now who's supposed to bring back the country? Where the money's coming from? Think of it sense.
I hear you.
$7 billion was through airspace. Where our money is?
Yeah.
That's on I've been now 8, 10 years. He failing me.
Yeah.
Get the money.
Well, you got to get your man. You got to put your target on Christie and them. They running the country now, and if you want to see a paradigm shift, you've got to do something about the style of governance that you're now under, and try to make a difference.
Country, they can't negotiate. Because you got there on them. They clean. You have a clean hand. Hand clean.
I hear you. All right. Okay, Jake. I appreciate your call. 325-023516. John and I are talking about a number of things that are very important as far as the information flow is concerned. And just a word here. Soft answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge, rightly, but the mouth of fools pour forth foolishness. And I'm not saying that to JJ, I'm just saying, generally speaking, that is the context in which we discuss these things today. And certainly it is a pathway, a pathway to our next soundbite that we're going to play in a short time. Because here's a person who has changed gender, or who is now a transgender, changing from a man, trying to be a woman. God made him a particular way, but he has said that God got it wrong. So he's doing some other things. I'm not being judgmental. I'm only telling you these are the facts. Obviously, he wasn't happy with being a male, so he's trying to be a woman. I mean, I can respect that. There must be some reason. But the point is, God made him in an image, and he was supposed to be a man, but he's now trying to be a woman. But on top of that, he is saying that God will protect him and all this kind of stuff. In other words, all of what he is saying is so convoluted because of something that I call a mix-up mentality. You can, on one hand, be, an abomination before the Lord by doing certain things, and then on the other hand, you're calling out to him that this is what's going to happen. And as you reveal to the nation that you had been a child molester and had spent some time for it, but you're on Bay Street saying that vote yes.
Surrounded by children.
Surrounded by children. See, we got to start paying attention, sit up and pay attention. See, a lot of us are so liberal in this
literally country. In a sea of children.
Yeah, we're so liberal that we don't start to analyze what it is that we are doing. Of course, everybody wants everybody to be equal and free and have a good time. And, I have no difficulty with that. Because I believe everybody be judged by the Lord himself at the end of the day. But the point is, John, we have a responsibility as a moral behaving public to be bringing along things, ways, traditions, cultures, and situations that are going to be healthy for what we are doing, and that's not going to be hijacked by people who have all kind of backgrounds that we don't even know. Yet we're saying, hey, let's do this because, they have a right to. Yeah, they have a right. Yeah, we all have a right, but what are we dealing with? And did they really hijack this vote? The answer is yes, they did.
Yes, they have.
They have. And see, nobody wants to face that issue. The people on the Constitution Committee are going to have to face that some people have hijacked whatever they were trying to do. If they were trying to do good, we commend them. If they were really pure and hard saying, look, we want to really bring about equality for everyone, we salute that, we support that. But in the back of our hearts, it's like the old people say, one mind tell me, deep down inside, I know it ain't that. It is something else. I can't put my finger on it, the old people say, but I know this ain't what I see. And so we have a situation where some others with a different lifestyle, a different attitude, a different mentality is hijacking some bills that were supposed to be meaning good for women in this country on equality, but it's been convoluted. It's been confused, it has been messed about, and now we have a story where this young man has a record that you need to know. And
this young transgender.
Right, this young trans. Thanks for the correction, John. I'll get it,
It's a new world we living in, Steve.
I'll get it. I got to get the right terms.
This young transgender, as a sex offender, as a convicted child molester, would be one of those on Marco's registry. See, we forget about this stuff, Yes, people come and pass these laws and do nothing. They pass an impotent law because there is no registry.
Yeah.
I spoke about this in the Senate. And again, like question number one in this referendum or proposed referendum, the registry was not to be retrospective. It still ain't.
Still ain't. You talked about that last week.
Okay.
So what's the thing? I mean, what are we doing? How's this going to impact?
And I spoke to a former senior member of cabinet on that point, and I'm sorry to cross, and I'll come right back to the point. I said, why is this not retrospective? I said, let's be real. It's not retrospective because it would create 75 to 100,000 new Bahamians overnight.
That's correct.
That's why it's not retrospective. And you all have no control over those 75 to 100,000 Bahamians, many of whom are in foreign jurisdictions where they're free thinkers. All right? And those people would come and elect a sensible government. Y'all can't control that, and y'all won't open that gate. So what is the point? This is lip service again. And as my most honorable mother says, look, John, we got to start it somewhere. Some nations, they started it, and then they went back and they had another amendment. Look how long we've been waiting for this first amendment. And look how many times we've gotten it wrong. We're about to get it wrong again. Okay? So that should have been made retrospective. All right, just as Marco's registry, whenever it comes out, of sex offenders should be made retrospective. If this Tory was in the US, he could not have been standing, or the transgender could not have been standing surrounded by a sea of children. He could not have been that close to children as a child, convicted child molester.
On the front page, by the
Okay,
on the front page.
but here he could stand and surround himself with the little darlings with no issue, and yet come and hijack what is possibly the most important issue constitutionally in the modern history of this country.
Absolutely.
And be allowed to do so. Why? Because the people who framed the questions have left ambiguity in the question.
Absolutely.
And they could have made it very clear by adding in the words at birth.
Yeah, they refuse to do that.
Okay? Born male or female.
Yeah.
Okay?
Now this opens the floodgates, and I hope they know they're
But let me
opening.
tell you, Steve, even if people accept the argument that maybe it doesn't open the floodgates, or it does open the floodgates, what it does is creates an argument. It creates a discussion. And perception is reality. People perceive that it might open the floodgates.
Yes.
And that is all you need, is a perception.
Yeah.
For everything to go wrong. And Bahamians aren't going to hurt their head on voting no to number 4 and yes to 1, 2, and 3. They go vote no to everything.
Vote no to everything.
And
is what
Steve,
they're
that could
saying.
be a travesty.
And it will be.
It could be a total travesty.
I could see it happening.
And again, I understand that the pollsters have done some polls and they're coming out with numbers as high as 79%. No.
Yeah.
Steve, some of these things should happen. And
I'm
again,
looking.
some of these things don't need the constitutional amendment to happen. So what is the big brouhaha? Is somebody out to try and create a legacy? Is somebody out to try and beat his best friend again? And you two couldn't do what I did? Ha. Is that what this is all about?
Maybe it is. I was looking, John, I was looking for a clipping that I had here that I was wanting to share. Perhaps we'll find it. It's in the Tribune today. I think it was the Insight. Some foreign mail had written something about this whole idea of the different parts of the argument, but I can't put my hand on it right now. I do have it, but I'll get to it.
As we talk about these things, Steve, from this first started years back, and one of the things I invite people to do is go and pull out what the F&M had planned to do in 2002. As I've been trying to revisit that, I think they might have been flawed because they tried to do too much. And it included the judges' ages and all types of things. But as you look at these things, Steve, I am one of those that said from the start that I would have no issue as a Bahamian man in losing my right to automatically convey citizenship on any foreign lady I might marry. I have no problem with that because quite frankly, I don't think that citizenship should be conveyed or transferred to any individual as a result of marriage, as a right of marriage, whether that person is male or female. So I feel that you should be able to get married. You should be able to get your spousal permit, followed by your permanent residency with the right to work, then followed by your citizenship after a certain amount of years, a minimum of which being 5. So people say, John, it's too late to have the debate on this. No, it's not. It's never too late to have the debate on this. We have a Senate. The Senate can sit back and kick this thing back and say, look here, reword the questions, rephrase the positions.
Then I'm going to do that.
No.
I got calls on the line, John, and I want to get to this point today with Tori, and so I'm going to go to the line and then get this soundbite with Tori and put it all in perspective. Hot Coffee, how are you? Hi there. Yes, how are you?
Hi, Mr. McKinney, how are you?
Very good, thanks.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Bostwick.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. McKinney, I hear you and Mr. Bostwick saying that, you believe this gentleman hijacked the bill. But it's my opinion that these whole bills were framed around getting to this end. Last year, I engaged Ms. Erin Green, a lady who I respect. She has a lot of information. And she said on a talk show that she was hosting that what the LGBT intends to do is to get the
the bills are passed, what they intend to do is then have a discussion on what equality really means, and then to build laws around what equality really means. And I called him to the talk show and I said, look, Ms. Green, what you're doing is proving my point that the lesbian and gay agenda is simply trying to ride the wave of what they deliver to the beach on the premise that we are doing it for equal rights of women. And so, what this gentleman is supporting and what the majority of Bahamians feel like this is going to open the doorway is exactly what it was. And in my view, it is more to open the doorway of same-sex marriage. And the other three bills are like defecating on the immigration laws that we just implemented, by the way. I intend to vote no 4 times on those bills. But in my view, the framing of this bill is to open the doorway for that far more than leveling the playing field and having equality for women in the Bahamas. Thank you for allowing me to contribute.
I appreciate your call. Yes. Hot copy. How are you?
Yeah, Dr. Steve McKinney
Yes, sir.
and John Bostwick.
Sir.
I want to put a question to you. I heard that I want to find out because I never prove it. I heard some people born as hermaphrodite. When you call it hermaphrodite,
Hermaphrodite.
they're born with a woman thing and a man thing. You ever heard about that?
Hermaphrodites.
Yeah.
Is actually something that occurs somewhat regularly in the nearby Caribbean jurisdiction in Haiti, where and in other jurisdictions where people are born one sex and at puberty they develop the sexual organs of the other sex. And typically girls turning into boys.
Okay, well, I never thought of it, so I hear just talking through town, but since you say so now, it's so.
Yeah.
That's all I call the final.
And it's hermaphrodites.
You're not saying that to say that this is a whole gray area as
Oh,
to
no,
why.
no, I disagree with those funny people and things, but I'm just saying if they did born that way, if a man born that way, if you want to be a man, you should just turn into a man. If you born that way, you want to be a woman, be a woman. But you can't be two way. God made you to be one way.
Okay, I got you. I appreciate your call.
Okay.
All right, great. Hot copy. How are you?
Hey, good day, Mr. McKinney, and good day, Mr. Bostwick. Hey, Mr. McKinney.
Hold on, Bannister. I don't want no nonsense out of you today on my radio, okay?
How you think I get this humor?
You did it last time. I want to tell you now.
Somebody who never this you?
No, it ain't this. I want a responsible conversation for
But I
today.
have a responsible conversation. I don't diss you.
Okay.
If I see you in person, then I probably deal with you. But then again, I ain't gonna diss you on your radio show.
Okay.
I ain't gonna never do that. You know, I will play a just like you. But let me tell you what I have to say today, buddy. Listen to me. I think the media has the people confused.
Okay.
Tell you why. Let me tell you why I say that. When you get persons like Austin Boyd and Chrissy Love and Wendell Jones
Listen.
and other persons saying, oh yes, then you, an independent thinker, and many more talk shows say, vote no.
I never told anybody vote no.
And John saying, vote no, they're on the right track.
But I never told anyone to vote no.
No, listen what I say, Steve. The people them in the people them know you and others saying that. They said, go forward this bill, when this bill ready to open up a same-sex marriage. Yeah, I listen to talk shows. I am saying this, Steve, and I listen to you. You know, I see it just like you. Listen, all I'm saying is, Mr. Wendell Jones and Chrissy Love them have the people confused. Even seeing Thompson, he's saying that what has happened to same-sex marriage. That's what he was saying, man. Cleveland, don't come out to call him and run on him. I have to call him and run on him. Okay? So what I'm saying is this, if you're on the right track, and independent things are on the right track, and I don't talk like Lady Russell, they're on the right track, and the people listening to yours, and then when they listen to them, what they say, the people confused who I think like this, or something like that. But I put one and two together, and I look at it, I say, you know something? These people don't know, but the people are confused. I don't never think I can come on your show and this, you know, we too long for that.
Okay.
You know I'm going and I don't play.
Okay.
I respect you.
All the best. Okay. All right. Listen.
Steve, the scary thing is that, and I asked legal commentators to weigh in on this opinion. The door is presently open in the Bahamas to same-sex marriages. There are civil unions presently,
Yes.
okay? The door is presently open. What may need to be happening is a constitutional amendment that closes the door.
No. But I
That
hear you.
states that
Okay, go
marriage
ahead.
in the Bahamas is between male and female.
Yes. We have that in the Marriage Act.
Okay?
But John, I'm not a lawyer like you, but I'll say this. The very thing that is happening here is very troubling, because if the Marriage Act is what it is, and we know it's an act, okay? The Marriage Act says that, look, marriage can only be between a man and a woman. And we have a constitutional amendment, because that's what this is, and if it's passed by referendum, then it's a part of a superior document. The superior document in this country would always be the Constitution. It supersedes any bit of an act or legislation.
Even the sale of a beach access.
Absolutely. So that's why I'm saying we have to be careful, because on one hand, those who are perpetrating this fraud, that's what it is. I call it as I see it. That this is not a conduit or a pathway to open the door for same-sex marriage, though it could be challenged if they make this constitutional amendment on Article 4. The very thing that they are doing is going to suppress the Marriage Act, because if two men, as I told you this week on the station, if they decide that they want to get married and they are protected under Article 26 of the non-discrimination, that they have been discriminated against because they really love Peter. Steve really loved Peter and really want to marry Peter. But the Marriage Act does not allow him to marry Peter. You see the case? The case is that, boy, you know, the Constitution affords me non-discrimination, and you all are discriminated against me, could be the theory, could be the advocacy, that you're all discriminating against me from getting married to this fellow who I really want to spend my life with and give my possessions to. Now, you all can't do that because the Constitution is a superior document, and the Constitution says that I should not be discriminated against based upon my sex. I am a male, okay? I am a female, says the woman, but you're all stopping me from doing something that I want to do in my union. So yes, it will open the door. See, that in itself, and I'm no lawyer, and I'd be the first to tell you, I ain't even a good bush lawyer. But the point is this, that in itself can open up the argument that you talked about the other day. You said it earlier on the show, an argument. Why do we want to be embroiled in an argument on something that we can be specific, succinct on, and say, this is the deal, and that's it? We can't just hear what Justice Ruby Knowledge is saying, that this is what we intend, not conjecture. That's not good enough. What is going to be the law? What is it that we're putting into the Constitution?
Steve, that's how lawyers make their living. Arguments. From there's a point to argue on. There's people prepared to go at it 50-50, two sides of it, and people come prepared for war. Because there's a point to argue over.
Yeah.
We don't need to be arguing over constitutional amendments and their effect. That's nothing to be arguing. Everybody needs to be of one mind and know what that's going to do.
Exactly. And see, that's all my concern is. And if somebody can arrest that concern of mine and say, no, don't worry about that because X, Y, and Z. But don't just flippantly tell me, oh, the Marriage Act is going to take care of that. Because in my way of thinking, the Constitution is a superior document.
See, we got to remember, when we launch these arguments, if this argument comes up, where does it go? It goes to our Supreme Court. It might be a very liberal judge.
Yes.
Very liberal. He might agree with this scant argument and say, I'm with that.
Yes.
That's discriminatory.
That's how I read it.
Okay. And then whoever's fighting this case will say, and now what happens, Steve? Do you think the person who is claiming that they're discriminated against by a certain statute, they take the matter to the Supreme Court? What if we've got a liberal attorney general? What if Fred Mitchell was attorney general? He might decide he ain't even defending that. All right. He might decide, hey, I ain't even defending that. Because I happen to agree. Yeah. Okay.
End of story. Case closed.
Case closed.
Bam, thank you, ma'am.
Bam. And even no change, not even going where I was saying, because ultimately, what is our highest court?
Privy.
Oh, you know where they are on this.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Most liberal.
All they need is a halfway convincing argument.
I almost say child needs. But John, you know what's interesting is all of these cases, all of these bits and pieces of the article of the compendium to the 4 bills for this constitutional amendment on gender equality, all of them can be done in the House of Assembly.
Just about all. People are saying very strongly 2 to definitely 3 out of the 4. And A lot of it can be done by policy, Steve.
Yes.
A lot of it can be done
But
by
see, what you
actually
have to understand,
policy shift, not
they
even the
don't
House of
want that
Assembly.
because somebody else, another government, can come and change the policy. They want it enshrined. See, let me play that soundbite for you. Let me show you something. See, go to Ruby Knowledge and listen to what she says about how it has to be enshrined in the Constitution as a fundamental right. You need to understand what is happening here. Hard copy to master control. Are you there? Let me hear it.
Purpose of putting sex in 26 is to enshrine a principle of equality as a fundamental right. Please, I'll say it again. It's to enshrine the principle of equality as a fundamental right. Equality is not enshrined as a fundamental right. And it can only be so if we have in our Constitution, not in our ordinary law, but in our Constitution, clear definition of discrimination as saying it is unlawful to discriminate on the basis of sex. That means that you're saying it's a fundamental right that there must be equality of male and female. Mm-hmm. So the absence of sex in 26 does not enshrine that principle. It's still left out.
And you have to put it in, is what you're saying.
Right. We have to make sure, because even though we enjoy everything that you say we do, and we do, to a great extent, women, I mean, it's not really just for women, you know. The discrimination can take place against men or against children. And because there has been no constitutional statement about the fundamental right being a right of equality of male and female, it can work against the men too.
Well, it could also work against a transgender, but not from Tori's perspective, because she says, vote yes for me. It's for me.
I believe that equality between men and women should be enshrined in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And it should be fundamental. Mm-hmm. Equality between men and women.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody, any clear thinking behemoth has a problem with that. Mm-hmm. At all.
Equality between man and woman.
At all.
Yeah, well, that's clear.
And that there should be no discrimination between men and women, period. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why the issue is so difficult and has to be made so intellectual. It's very simple.
Why do you suppose it's made so intellectual with all this stress and this?
You know, I could sit here and speak with a very proper English accent and make it seem more very highbrow. But at the end of the day, Steve, it's about equality between men and women. It's no more complex than that.
Man and women. Man and woman.
Man and woman.
All right. Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy, how are you? All right, let me get this other call. Hard copy, how are you?
Yeah, I'm right again. How you doing?
I'm doing you again.
Yeah, it's me.
Give me a break, man. Let me take this thing from Tori.
Book fans, family, and everybody out there. Well, I'm Tori Comer, the female.
Yeah, that's Tori. That's Tori Como, the lady on the front page, the transgender woman in the Tribune with the blonde hair, on the front page of the Tribune and in the Guardian with the sign that says, "Vote yes for me." And the transgender woman thought that she should come to the public because it had been circulating in the investigative booth of reporters locally that this was a person who had spent some time in jail for child molestation and in the United States. And I suppose it's made its rounds on Facebook and on local talk radio shows. And so, because we're an equal opportunity provider, we thought that we should assist in playing it for those of you who did not hear it or didn't see it. And so Hard Copy gave Tori 8 minutes of fame just now so that she can make statements. And of course, John has been asking me all kinds of questions why Tori is sounding like that as she talks. I don't know, but the Bible says there's a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death every time. Some people seem to be right about what they're thinking. We're not judging the person. The bottom line is that we call as we see it. These are the facts. And so you heard it for yourself, and that's what is happening. So whatever you make of it, as Tori said,
did you ever look up the meaning of the word transgender? Did you ever?
No.
See, transgender, and this is the only comment I can make on this because I wouldn't touch Tori with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch the topic. Transgender is an adjective denoting or relating to a person whose self-identity does not conform unambiguously to conventional notions of male or female gender.
So we can't say the transgender woman.
That's why I keep saying you have to say transgender. And yeah.
So the Tribune.
But really, it's an adjective. It's not really a noun. I want to make it a noun. The transgender.
The transgender.
Yeah. Because it don't fit either way.
It's an anomaly.
Whose self-identity does not conform unambiguously. See, this is that word I told you about. Ambiguity. Dangerous thing. That's what lawyers argue on. Lawyers will have a full trial on ambiguity, on the double meaning of one word.
Wow. Well, Bahamas, you better understand what we're dealing with.
Doesn't conform unambiguously to the conventional notions. You hear how gray this word transgender, this is a gray word. To the conventional, what does conventional mean? Conventional means usual, normal, standard. But what is usual? What is usual to me may not be usual to you.
Exactly.
What is conventional to the producer might not be conventional to me. What is conventional in San Francisco is not conventional in Inagua. Okay? So, does not conform to conventional notions of male or female gender.
My. They're giving us plenty homework. Why don't you look up the word intersex for me right now?
Intersex.
As I read these texts. Okay. This person says the school must be brought up on charges for taking those children to Roswell Square to support LGBT is what this person is saying here. They've got a lot of stuff. well, I can't even read some of these what people are saying.
That's hermaphrodites. Intersex is hermaphrodites. And I'll read it for you when you.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh boy. There's a lot of stuff to read on Facebook tonight after Hard Copy. You can have a fun time reading these things. Mrs. McKinney, wow. Is this person serious? This is what our country is coming to. Lord, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. This person says, good evening, Mr. McKinney. This is Anton. Oh boy, Anton, you're just don't cause me to say something to you on the radio. He texted me now to tell me that he wrote me and he wants me to read this, right? Anton, take a break, man. Just be nice, take a break. Know when to quit, man. Know when to hold them, know when to fool them. Don't get yourself barred off hard copy. Because when I buy you, I buy you for a long time. Don't get barred. You can't have things to say to me every night I have this show. There are other people who have other things to say too. I know your views. The public knows your views. We know your agenda. Take your time. Anyway, I've got so much text messages to read. John, you got my definitions yet?
Yeah. Intersex is a general term used for a variety of conditions in which a person is born with reproductive or sexual autonomy that doesn't seem to fit the typical definitions of male or female.
Yeah. Say that again.
Again, intersex is a general term used for a variety of conditions in which a person is born with a reproductive or sexual autonomy that doesn't seem to fit the typical definitions of male or female. The older term for this condition is hermaphroditism. Hermaphroditism.
Can I read some of these things?
No, please. I think they got you. They have you captivated.
The text messages.
Yes.
Good night, Steve. In the name of Jesus, Allison Maynard and Jerome Fitzgerald, stop lying on my decent Pastor Miles Monroe, or woe to you both and the PLP. BFM know the truth. He said clearly male and female at birth. We have all the tapes in church, and Pastor Miles kept no secrets from his members. Respect the dead and don't refer to him when he cannot respond, because of some of us will answer and we won't be as diplomatic as he was. I say no more. Amen. That's what that person says. So there's a lot of talk too about what Miles told them in the meetings. I have the sound bite that Miles told them about what he was trying to get expressed in these bills, and he said it to us on our show. It's a caveat that I have. I played it last night. It's something that I'll be doing in time release. Every now and then I'll give it to you, and the argument gets bigger because we'll see if they're going to continuously.
Steve, I always talk about you being a record keeper.
Yeah,
and that's a dangerous thing, because people cannot misrepresent Miles Monroe. You got almost everything the man ever said.
We played it. We played it.
You got
it yesterday.
He's
talking about, when they talk about sex, he says male and female
at birth.
This one says, hi, Steve. Are the intersex or transgenders hijacking the referendum, or is it that they really know 4 is all about them? The truth has a strange way of coming out, eh? It indeed does. This person says, Steve, no one has to hijack Amendment 4. Only a non-pilot can hijack the plane. The leadership, you hear that? John, you heard this?
I hear that.
Say only a non-pilot can hijack the plane. The leadership of the country wants to create an atmosphere to encourage the legal challenges that will advance the same-sex marriage agenda. This is not hijacking. The pilots just aren't being truthful about where they're flying this plane. My Lord. Hi, Steve. You rather offend God or your friends who choose the lifestyle they're in. God made male and female, a distinct difference. God will not be mocked. He gave us the ability to choose, but he admonishes us to choose life. So we are descendants. So we and our descendants will live. And I agree with that, no problems. Steve, if I can recall my memory, I remember John's father, Henry Bostwick Sr., always say there's no power like people's power. Keep it up, Johnny boy. This person says, oh boy, anyway. I've got a tray load, John, of 28 WhatsApps. I can't read them all, but I'm going to make sure that they're posted on the Facebook page tonight so that we can have a crack at it. But John, you didn't really talk much about the Tory matter. The Tory matter, I believe, is very important in the discussion going forward, because I said on the show that they had hijacked. This person says no, they didn't hijack. The pilots are flying into that airspace. But you see the kind of hullabaloo and the kind of, they had a party at the Hilton Hotel. Yeah, my investigation shows me that they had a big party celebrating after the bill was passed. They had a special guest or two there as well, but I won't tell you who they are. But that's my information. The GNN is like this. You heard JJ talk about.
That's right.
The GNN is the Ghetto News Network.
Ghetto News Network.
The Ghetto News Network works at the hotel. They're waiters and waitresses and
right.
cooks and stuff. They know the two members of parliament who were there with the people celebrating the other night after the victory.
Did any fly? One not fly yet?
I shall remain silent at this particular.
Yeah.
No comment. I'd copy. How are you?
Oh, good evening, McKinney. I'm speaking here, Mr. Bostwick.
Good evening.
All right, this is quick. After listening to that on tape with the transgender individual, I just thought I said, let me just share with a scripture with God, the things about them and how he views them. In Romans 1, he says, for these invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. And then in 25, he says, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and they worship a certain creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. And he says, for this cause, God gave them up to vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, and burning their lust one towards another. Men with men, working that which is unsavory, and receiving in themselves the recompense of the error which was wicked. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind. And when you look at the word reprobate mind, it will tell you predestined for damnation. He gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. He says they're being filled with all unrighteousness, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, delight to debate, deceit, malignancy, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, deceitful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable and unmerciful.
Understood. We thank you. We know that particular passage, and we've been going over that many times over the years as this fight and this debate ensued and continued for a long time. As I tell people on the show, thank you for your call. This has been going on for quite a number of years, and everybody knows that. Anyone who says that on the side of the bills as they are, that may be their right, and I don't condemn them. That's how they see it. I don't have a difficulty with the early bills 1, 2, and 3. In some cases, there's a lot of things that I would debate with them and would have done it a different way, or would have preferred to see it a different way. But I understand that there's a genuine effort by some in the body politic to want to have what you call equality. I mentioned before that equality.
Steve, you remember the last thing the PLP administration did, and the last bill they passed in 1991?
Yeah, that was the Sexual Offenses Act.
And what was
the buggery?
And what did they do?
Well, they
make it legal.
They made it legal.
They make it legal.
Yeah, they made it legal. 1991. No one knew until Dr. Donaldson and I really talked about it on the radio.
And right here now, a year out, they up to something else. Eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, same set people do.
Leopards don't change their spots, they tell me. But I appreciate, as I think about what Bannister had said, I appreciate what he was saying, that the people are confused because they expect all talk show people to be on the same page. You mustn't judge it like that. Phil Kalanis wrote a column today and referred to talk show people as those who are all about the place pontificating using big words. Well, I know he wasn't meaning me because I don't use no big word. But in any event, he said that's what they're doing, and it's almost as if this is the gospel according to my words, the gospel according to such and such a talk show. There was another person who wrote in the Tribune. I was trying to find it. I don't know what I did, but I must have left it on my desk. In the column of Insight today in the papers, talking about, that referring to talk show hosts again, which tells me that those persons who are on the side of this argument that this is the right thing to do and let's get it done one time and don't let nothing hijack it, you see, there are plenty of people, John, who have this thing about Bill 2. They really want to have their children marry some other people to bring them in. I appreciate that. I understand that. There are many over the hill who want to have their daughters marry other men and bring them in and give them all that.
I don't like to rock this boat, and I'm trying to keep my mouth out of it. But see, I don't agree with that. I don't feel that marriage should guarantee you citizenship in the Bahamas, either male or female.
Those are the things that I'm concerned about. And like you and Paul, I said the same thing. You know, if you have to take it from the man because it's offensive to the woman, then fine. But the point is this: I'm saying a foreign man today made a note in the Tribune, in this column Insight, was giving their story, his story, as to why he would want to have a child with a behaving woman who he's married, and the concern that he would have based upon these bills that are basically discriminatory against any woman wanting to have the equal share of, like as a man on Article 2, on Bill number 2. And he went on to talk about how talk show hosts, you know, basically running on with my interpretation. I don't have it in front of me, but what I gleaned from it, having all this to say, and really don't know what they're talking about, but they're saying it anyway. And I suppose this is something now to bury, and this is what all talk show hosts should be listening to. Read these things. It's about to bury the viewpoints and to strangle the opinions being expressed by the Bahamian public on these issues. Like, you know, y'all shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. We want to tell you this what it is. And I took offense to it. And that's why I wanted to use it and read it today, but I don't have it. I apologize for that. I'll do it later on in another show. But the point is, we take note of that yes, there are different strokes for different folks. There are some people gung-ho, John, boy, they want Bill 2 so bad. They don't give 2 cents about Bill 4. In other words, they're so liberal in their thinking. It doesn't matter if that hijacks anything. It just once Bill 2 is, we can marry and we can do this and we can do that, and our husbands, and that's what we're looking for. So there's something in it for everyone.
Steve, for those people who are liberal, I have no problem with people who are liberal, but for those people who are liberal, my only comment to them is, just, okay, fine, but be open, don't sneak up on me.
Don't sneak up on me.
Don't sneak up on me. And state what it is that you would like. I am stating what I would like to see. I would like to see it say male and female at birth.
Yeah.
And if you've got a liberal agenda that is other than that, be clear and state that you want to open up the discussion to persons who are transgender, bisexual, homosexual, whatever they are. That's fair enough. Put it on the table and let us vote on it.
Yeah.
But really, it should be in a separate referendum. It should have nothing to do with women. The women of the Bahamas have waited 50 plus years. 50 years, Dave. Do you know how many suffragists have gone to their graves? Come on, man. This is ridiculous. This got nothing to do with what has taken over the debate. It has nothing to do with it. And quite frankly, I said from last week, could somebody please involved in this process get up and make sure that this, what has happened now, what is mushrooming, does not happen? How could they allow the transgender Tory to take the press? He is the press. She is the press. The whole issue is now being scuttled.
Said.
And I starting to wonder if where did this she come from? Okay, I feel now empowered to call him a he/she based on the dictionary definition.
You would be correct.
Okay, where did he come from, and why did he come now? Why is there somebody trying to push the Bahamian people off course and thereby rob the women of this opportunity?
You say rob, I say hijack. See, we're on the same page, you know. See, a lot of us want to see our women have all of it, the whole 9 yards. I believe that our women are very, very much on the same page of equality. And I made mention that there's Dame Marguerite, there's so many who are in public office. Wendy Craig at the central bank at one time. AG office. We got the parliament, the Senate, Sharon Wilson,
President of the Court of Appeal.
there's no need for us to get all bent out of shape as if we are so very backward that we have been doing things wrong. I say quite
But
the
Steve,
contrary.
that said, there are some fundamental rights that need to be extended.
Yes.
And I go back to it, that the Constitution does need to enshrine
Mhm.
the rights of women and men
Mhm.
as equal. That needs to happen. And I have to agree with the caller. I think the caller was so spot on. Not a hijacking. Steve, when was the last flight plan for the Bahamas filed? Come on, we don't know where we're going.
No.
None of us know where we're going. With gender equality, with education, with immigration, with crime. We don't know where we're going.
We fly until we.
Tell the plane run out and we crash. And we have been here in the mornings. We've been hearing the beeping, the beeping, the beeping, the beeping. Quite frankly, I believe you look up front, the pilots, them got on their parachute. They really don't care. Because they got on their parachute, they got their pockets stuffed full of US dollars, and they could care less when this flight hit the sea.
Well, we must go and hijack the plane since we're not.
We may need to hijack.
We may need to hijack the plane. Get this plane of state, as it were, back on course.
Definitely.
Hot copy, how are you?
Steve McKinney,
Hey, Sir Sydney.
hope you're doing well.
Man, Sir Sydney, it's good to hear from you. It's always good to hear from the House of Wisdom. How you been?
Yeah, I'm doing quite well. I was listening to Brother Bostwick, and I must say he does have some valid points. What he was stating there. I heard the comments about the lady. Now, the definitions that Brother Bostwick read are so confusing to me because I'm hearing this for the first time. Intersex from Aaron Green, and then this transgender.
Yeah, you're just hearing the definitions of these things.
Brother Bostwick, I don't know where you got those definitions from,
Yeah,
but
Google it.
is it in the actual dictionary?
Yes, I Googled it, but those definitions, I think one came from Webster and one came from the American Standard Dictionary.
Okay, good.
But you could Google them and you could pull them from any dictionary you want, from Webster, Oxford, whichever one you want.
Okay, fine. But from what I heard you say, it is very unclear, are you he or she?
Mhm.
You think you don't know. Now, the Constitution, as I understand it, the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, male and female.
Mhm.
Okay? The thing is that we have a situation now where we know that the agenda of certain personalities is very clear. The Bahamian people who are prepared to go by the principles in the preamble of the Constitution. This is where
That's
they
key.
have to come forward.
That's key.
now and stand up and
That's
become
key.
it.
That's key.
This
No
is
question
very,
about it.
very important.
That's key, Sydney. That's key.
We're about to lose our country to some strangers, some foreigners,
We're not gonna
some aliens,
lose.
some outsiders.
We're not going to lose. The victory's already been won. You know when the victory is won, Sir Sydney?
Yeah.
The victory was won when Pastor Timothy Stewart, Pastor Alfred Stewart, Lyle Bethel, and several others, Nicholas Seymour and several others,
Yeah.
got on the horn and told them they must not even try to touch the preamble of the Constitution.
Yeah.
And Sean McQueen relent and decided that that is not going to be touched. See, that's when the battle for that was lost, because had they gotten to touch the preamble of the Constitution and change the spirit of our Constitution, they may have been able to get away with some things that we would not have been able to stop. But because of the supremacy of God of the preamble of the Constitution, and because we are considered a nation full of Christian values, you see, an abiding respect for law and order and the principles and the supremacy of God, that whole thing that they were trying got pushed back. They lost that. Then they dropped it and they came back again. And when they came back again, Miles Monroe, the late great, was there to tell them no. He intercepted and say, no, what you're trying here is not going to cook in this pot. And he had meetings with Christie and them and told them this the deal and this what should happen. Of course, his untimely death at the time has shocked everybody to the point where we had not been hearing from him had it not been only because we've been playing them on our station, because we have the sound bites. We have the sound bite. That's a key sound bite and the evidence that will be presented in days to come as to what Miles Monroe has said. I gave you a little snippet last night.
Oh, I heard that.
And let me tell you, there's much more to come. And when you hear that, you will see how there are people who are disingenuous. There are people who are not as honest as they ought to be on what they are quoting the man is saying and doing.
Yes.
And the evidence is very, very much there, empirical evidence, even by BFM, that they know exactly what he had said and what he had suggested.
And that is why it is most important that those members of BFM stand their ground and say exactly, precisely what he said, what they believe, because he said he had trained leaders. Now it's time for them to come to the fore. They can't be hiding in the dark. They've got to get out there and stand for their country, because Dr. Miles Brown said you have to die for your country.
No question about it.
Are they ready to do that? That's what they need to understand. Are we prepared to make the supreme sacrifice if necessary to save our country from the crap that we're going through now? I agree that, you know, the pilot don't seem to know where he's going. He's just flying through the air, and we have no destination.
Yeah.
And this is very, very sad. So we have got to, as the people of the land, the people who understand and know better, we have to take hold of the plane, grab it, and be able to direct it for the safety of our countrymen. We just can't let this go like this.
You're singing to the choir. We appreciate your call. Thank you so kindly.
Okay, all right, okay.
Sir Sidney, my good friend, I call him Sir Sidney Thompson. All right, old professor. Anyway, I'm getting a text that says, Brother McKinney, PLP, Fernley Palmer said we must vote no. He's a great justice of the peace. And if he says we must vote no, we must vote no. And everybody knows Fernley Palmer politics. Great Bahamian, wonderful man who's brought up the Boys Brigade all these years, 70 plus years he's dedicated. He's a great friend of mine. And I think he's a great Bahamian. He's one of the better. Every fellow you see around there, Fernley Palmer had a hand in his life to make him man. And that's Fernley Palmer. If he's speaking on this, I must be in contact with him very quickly to find out his views on it, because I do value his views on the whole matter. Final call for the night. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Mr. McKinney.
Hi there, lady. How you doing?
Pretty good. I hope you do get Mr. Fernley Palmer. I'm posting his comments everywhere. I suspect that he has a great interest in the protection of our children.
Yes.
Because he's done an excellent job over the years. I never heard his character impugned in any way regarding the safety of the children that he was in charge of.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to say to Mr. Bostwick, who is himself a lawyer, whose mother and his father are also attorneys, I wanted to suggest that the bringers of these particular constitutional proposals, they have not produced any strict proof as to why the Constitution should be amended in the ways that are being proposed. Certainly, you cannot attempt to change such an important document without some criteria. Who was wronged when? Where are the cases? How do we just arbitrarily come up with a list of things, largely immigration related, the 3 First Street, the 4th, about sex and sexual identity? If you read Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations, he ties those LGBT issues to all women's issues. They're all now one and the same. And so, how did we get here as Bahamians? Who made the charge? Where are the cases? Where's the evidence to support these ladies, and all of the ladies who are largely with the big mouth? They are the leading ladies in this society, and not leading in that they're some important man's wife. This is the Madam Attorney General. We have a woman who is the Governor General. We have had a Deputy Prime Minister. What we haven't had is a female Prime Minister, and that's because we haven't picked one. So what is it that they're really asking? That's what I'm wondering. And Ms. McKinney, could you please put up the sound clip, Mr. or Ms. Tori Kalma? I think that's going to be very important to analyze that conversation going forward for the protection of our children. I'm begging you, please put that up in MP3 or 4 on your site, hard copy, and we'll know what to do with it.
I appreciate your call.
God bless you.
Oh, that's okay. All right, so John, there we are again. Another Wednesday is coming on, and we have not cut through all the stuff we had on the agenda today. A little talk with Fred Mitchell I had here today, where Fred has been accused of lying to the Bahamian public about the 2 Cuban fellas, that he knew all along what was happening, but he didn't say. The Tribune has an editorial on it tonight, if you want to, or the Day's Tribune. I asked the question, did Mitchell lie or tell the truth about the Cubans? And there's a whole lot to be gotten if you were to read that editorial tonight, the Tribune. I keep saying like, the Tribune's going even, but today's editorial. And then, of course, there's a whole press release from Michael Pindar. That's quite interesting. Press release on that is also quite interesting. Some very, very pertinent questions are being put to Fred Mitchell, salient points that must be dealt with by Mitchell, and we're going to see if Mitchell is going to have the brass, the courage to answer these things. See, Mitchell, who is the Minister of Immigration and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, believes that the world revolves around him and that he can do as he feels, even though he's a minister of the government. And I mean to say this tonight because, you see, there's no way that a minister who has portfolio can decide that he is going to call one person and say, this is answer. Refuse to come to talk shows and sit down and discuss these issues with the Bahamian people. Face the music, face his fears, and answer questions. There is nothing that anyone can do, Mitchell. Mitchell is a brilliant man. Yet, the way that he's been going, ducking the media, never mind that he gets his picture taken and he makes statement. He needs to sit and talk with these Bahamian people and go to any talk show and do it. You come to me, we can ask you the questions, friend, because this is scandalous. This thing about these Cuban thing. You realize what they're saying, John, that the Cubans are back home where they come from, that they could have gone to the United States, that they were never bad, that they were never criminals. This one is coming out as disgusting.
Back home and working.
And working.
Gainfully
employed. The fellow who was said to have been a criminal had a driver's license that was that he had
violated their green card, and they were looking for some place to put these fellas for 3 years.
Come on, man, Mr. Mitchell.
Steve, what I know is that
they cannot. That cannot.
This government is about to be sued to hell.
Yeah.
Remember, I said that.
And people are already complaining that how they can sue for 10 million. Well, you better understand that what your officials have done is a serious thing if it is true.
Steve, we said 3 years ago, right here, that this Cuban situation was going to be a nightmare for Fred Mitchell.
Yeah, and it's turned out to be.
We commented about his poor handling of the situation from day dot.
Yeah.
That was so poor that it led to protests in South Florida. Yeah. It led to people calling for a boycott of the Bahamas.
Don't go on the
travel boycott.
All kind of stuff.
A commercial boycott. And I pointed out at that time that there was a young congressman, Marco Rubio, who took this up. And boy is now running for president.
Absolutely.
You know, this is ugly.
We have done nothing. We must put question to Mr. Mitchell. The Bahamian public, you must inundate Mr. Mitchell with questions. Media houses. Come on now, stop falling behind.
Mr. Mitchell is something like Jerry Roca. He spends more time out of town than in town.
Yes.
He's constantly traveling.
He comes here, must be to change his clothes or something and then go back on the plane.
You know, he must have a permanent suite on one of these planes because he spends 3/5 of his time off this island.
Well, anyhow, he needs to come and be clean with the Bahamian people. The Tribune has asked him to do so. I asked him to do so. There's just too many things out there that make us look bad. And then we have this scandal for the day where we've got to now go and deal with this person who said that his operation was botched and we don't know what we're doing. And then that fella is on his blog just talking to these people.
Steve, I hope somebody was listening.
You know, when does it end?
I hope somebody was listening with the authority, somebody within the Attorney General's office who seems to be hell-bent on persecuting innocent Bahamians more so than fighting for this nation's interests. But I hope somebody was listening to the advices given here today and that they move on this young man. This young man is a fraudster. He's got a PayPal account. He's got a GoFund account.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This man needs to go to jail, and I hope he goes to jail in the States as well because he is fraudulently misrepresenting what happened to him in the Bahamas for financial gain. That's a crime in the States. I wouldn't stop, Steve, given the authority. I wouldn't stop. I would make such a pointed example of him. I would make it so that they make it. It seems that every negative story told on the Bahamas is potentially a lie. Even I would get so much mileage out of this. Some of the stories that are true would look stupid.
Yeah. Well, you know, the trouble is, John, we've got some pilots in the cockpit who are out to lunch and
who just so happy to be in the cockpit.
Yeah.
They're excited about where they are.
They like that cockpit.
They love that spot.
Oh, just the sound of that. Did he say wow, or did he say that? We know Tori says that he's, proud to be who he is, and in between. A little bit of man, a little bit of woman, I suppose. And he wants you to vote yes for him. Don't forget that picture is on page 9 of the Nassau Guardian on the day in question. It says, on the day that, what was that? That was March the 3rd. Look at March 3rd, Nassau Guardian. Turn it to page, is that page 58A? Right below. Vote yes for me.
Yeah, that was on the front page.
In full color.
Vote yes for me.
In full color. Anyway,
For me,
our time,
she.
our time has come and gone. Look at all these people say there were chairs and tears as MPs okaying the bills. Oh my Lord.
Why would they use the children like that? Why would they
John, nobody wants to talk, but I went to that topic several times this week. Because they are
emptied
led.
out the government schools and brought them people children
And I said, I believe that's what BJ Dawes was talking about. He says it's going to be a seminal day. They had a plan. I said right on the show, I had no idea that Bay Street was going to be full of people like that. But they knew, and they knew deliberately that they were going to bring out the students from certain.
But you see where they put them? They put them in front of the Queen, where you are not allowed to gather to protest. If you have a formal protest, if you're coming out in support or in protest of something going on in the House of Assembly, you are across the street. You didn't notice that, Steve?
Yeah, I saw
you are across the street.
They're right on the same side by Victoria. Yeah.
They bought them. They had chairs. They had
sitting now nicely right there by Queen Victoria.
They decided to use the children. This is.
We must investigate. Do you think that the teachers from those schools just did that? Or do you think that the teachers from that school may be in a particular lifestyle that they figured this was very important?
I think that they might have gotten a directive from a little higher up, bring out the children.
Jerome, you think?
Bring out the children. Yeah, people above Jerome too, Jerome number ain't that. He ain't got no single digit on his car.
I see. Anyhow, I gotta leave that one for the night, but I can investigate that.
You need to check that out.
Check it out. Let's go on, baby. John Bostwick, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it. We're going to post everything on Facebook.
Oh, Steve, I want to make a comment. And I don't know if I said it earlier, but it appears that somebody, some malicious fraudster, and people say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. But somebody hijacked or is attempting to hijack my personal Facebook account. I see that other people have had similar things done to them. Somebody's hijacked my profile picture, my background. Is contacting all of my friends lists, and there are quite a few thousand of them. The account is maxed out. But please, to all of my friends, be careful. If you see a Facebook account requesting friendship from me, and I'm already your friend, that is the fraudster. I've already had it shut down once by Facebook, but it seems that they're trying to do it again. And this person's account is john.bostwick.750. My account is simply John Bostwick. They have the same pictures, the same backgrounds. They are attempting to contact my friends so that you would speak to that person thinking it is me. This has become silly season.
Yeah.
And they are using every deceitful method possible. I am not even on the field yet. I am coming. Such great attention.
Well, be careful, friends. You heard John. There are people out there hijacking a lot of things. They're not only trying to hijack these bills, but hijacking Facebook pages and the rest of it.
Look like we got to hijack the plane. Like you say, time for mutiny on SSS Bahamas.
Well, tomorrow there's a big opportunity for Bahamians to go to the courts already on Nassau Street just to quietly show your protest and your support for those Bahamians who have been locked up and charged before the courts.
And your support for every Bahamian is right to go to our beach.
At Cabbage Beach, across Paradise Island. All right, let the jingle fly now. Tonight's show has been brought to you by NIB, Nassau Motor Company, Commonwealth Bank. Your friends at CT await you right now.